The video which you are about to see is an account of one man's unsettling experience with a 1974 backwoods proto-slasher horror film. It is all the more disturbing that he waited so long to revisit this classic film. He may have lived a very, very long life without ever watching it again, had it not been for those who requested it so emphatically. It was not the video he expected so many would want to see, but he'd like to wish them all well. Because for him, an idyllic summer morning became a frightening viewing experience. The events of that day were to lead to the discovery of a newfound respect for a film which he had never given much thought. This is the Texas Chain Saw Massacre. There's no denying that a lot of respect is thrown around for the Texas Chain Saw Massacre. Before now, I had watched this film once a couple decades ago.
Do you think I said something made him mad?
I had a memory of it being gritty, but not much else, and so I always took the praise it got at face value. After watching it again, I realized that describing it simply as gritty is a laughable understatement. The discomfort I felt throughout this entire film, from the first shot to the last, is admirable. And I say that because it accomplishes such a level of disquiet without ever being overly gruesome. Instead, it relies on distressing characters, disturbing allegory, and an unrelenting cruel world. It takes our greatest and very plausible fears about the world around us and compresses it into a pressure cooker film experience until the only thing we're looking for is release. The tension of this film is felt immediately upon its opening and never lets up. The characters in this film do nothing to relieve that tension, even before we meet anyone in the cannibalistic family. In similar movies, we typically have time to see our group of friends engaging in playful banter, living normal teenage lives. Instead, our introduction to the protagonists in this movie immediately shows them in distress and at a disadvantage. Before a single word is spoken, there's an accident and there are screams. There are complaints about the heat and talks about evil in the Zodiac. There's a grim purpose to their trip, as they drive to ensure their grandfather wasn't dug up by grave robbers. There are drunken ramblings and, of course, the hitchhiker. There's nothing normal about their lives in this moment.
Hey, you think this place has room service?
There's nothing playful or lighthearted. We have distressed characters and a distressed world. With the introduction of the hitchhiker, we're introduced to the first real terror of the film, a tease about what's to come. A subtle discomfort evolves into full-blown panic over the course of a short drive, but the group shakes it off as a one-off incident with a weird hitchhiker.
That's the last goddamn hitchhiker I ever...
Everyone except Franklin.
You think that guy's just trying to scare us by, blowing up my picture like that?
In the past, I've often seen people dismiss him as annoying and childish, and while that may be true, he's also more than that. Franklin is the most flushed out character in the entire film. He has trauma, and because of that, he has an understanding of the dark parts of the world the rest of the group doesn't. His knowledge of the slaughterhouse proves this.
That's where Grandpa used to sell his cattle.
Because of that understanding, he's much more cautious. He doesn't shake the encounter with the hitchhiker the way the rest do. It sticks in his mind and he questions it constantly.
I bet it's about me.
He's much more observant, spotting clearly weird things throughout the house while it goes unnoticed by everyone else. He's level-headed, wanting to go for help rather than wandering through the dark to find his lost group of friends or letting Sally wander off alone.
Now, Sally, don't go. I don't think that's a good idea, Sally. I don't think you ought to go.
And although he winds up being more of a hindrance to Sally, he desperately wants to be her protector.
Sally, wait a minute. I'm coming with you.
I feel like I've seen these traits somewhere before. You know what? Franklin sounds an awful lot like a final girl.
I can't find my knife.
An annoying one, sure. But the traits are all still there. Much more than Sally, whose only qualification is that she survives until the end. It's interesting to think that the final girl trope may have started with the blending of Franklin and Sally.
Everything means something, I guess.
Apart from our main protagonist, there are a few obviously distressing characters we need to talk about. The first being the hitchhiker. His presence alone bleeds discomfort. He's sadistic. He enjoys frightening people and causing pain. He likes showcasing the macabre, as evidenced by his photography and his other displays. He's not content with acting in the shadows. He wants the world to toil through the fear he creates. Contrast this with Leatherface. He's not sadistic. He's utilitarian. He's the butcher. He's forced to do all the dirty work. He's been conditioned into thinking this is all normal. The film has a clever way of hinting at this fact. When Kirk is killed, there's no fanfare, for lack of a better word. There's no build-up. There's no music sting as Leatherface appears. There's no tonal contrast between Kirk's death and when he was outside with Pam a minute before. In fact, the musical dread doesn't appear until the perspective changes to Pam and she starts worrying about Kirk. The tension is then ratcheted up through filmmaking techniques while in Pam's perspective. The same is true with Jerry's death. Tension is built up from his perspective and then he's quickly killed off. But as soon as we're back to Leatherface, we see him panicking. He doesn't understand why people are breaking into his house, and he checks the windows to see if anyone else is coming. He's scared, and he dealt with this fear the only way he knew how. Then we have Dad. He trained his sons to be who they are, but still acts as though he's more righteous than them.
I just can't take no pleasure in killing.
Outwardly, he portrays himself to be helpful and empathetic, not wanting to see people suffer.
Young lady, you just take it easy there now. Look, we'll fix you some supper in a few minutes, huh?
But as soon as all eyes are off of him, he turns into a sadistic animal. He likes the idea of being in control, and he's clearly the reason why Leatherface is fearful, going so far as to find reasons to punish him even when he does something quote-unquote correct.
You damn fool! You ruined the door!
He relishes the fact that he can push around his mentally disabled son. He gets angry when his authority is questioned, and he doesn't want to get his hands dirty, making him a different level of sadistic.
You let his face do all the work. He don't like it, ain't that right? You're just a cook. Shut your mouth!
The three of them separately is scary, but the three of them together creates a whirlwind of uncontrolled chaos and mind-altering terror. But more on the dinner scene later. For now, let's just keep in mind that all of the characters, even our protagonists, play a role in the tension felt within this movie. The Texas Chain Saw Massacre has perhaps one of the less subtle commentaries on society, but not one that I noticed upon first watch many years ago. This time, however, it seemed to bludgeon me over the head like one of Leatherface's mallets. Within the first 10 minutes, the film exposes the reality of the meat industry in grisly detail. As the van approaches the slaughterhouse, the smell is the first thing the group notices. They complain about it and close the windows to avoid it. But Franklin, rather than avoiding the subject, actually dives headfirst into it, explaining the process.
They bash him in the head with a big sledgehammer.
Oh, that's awful.
His readiness to explore such a grim subject again shows his ability to understand the dark parts of the world. As the van drives by, the camera pans along with it, showing the countless animals killed in order to provide meat. Pam's face contorts in disgust as Franklin continues talking about how sometimes the first blow doesn't kill the animal, and they have to hit them again. This is mirrored in Kirk's death. After he's hit the first time, he lies on the floor convulsing, and Leatherface has to hit him again in order to kill him. This is an intentional similarity placed within the film as a commentary on the cruel nature of slaughterhouses. The victims in this movie are treated exactly like pigs for slaughter. They're bludgeoned without thought. They're callously hung from meat hooks while still alive. They're slung across tables to be cut to pieces. They're piled up in freezers. They're hog-tied and bagged and then viciously poked and prodded. To drive this point home even further, there are literal pig noises when Kirk is dying, and in the dinner scene when Sally is tied up. The cannibalist family is a direct parallel to a slaughterhouse, and the thing that allows them to exist is the same thing that allows the meat industry to exist. To understand this, all we have to do is look back on the drunk man we met at the beginning, lying in the grass, spewing nonsense that isn't actually nonsense.
Things happen here about they don't tell about. I see things.
Things happen in that town that no one talks about. The same way things happen in the slaughterhouse that no one talks about. We close our windows to the smell, we turn up our noses in disgust, and we beg for a change in subject at its mention.
Franklin, I like meat. Please change the subject.
We're all okay with eating meat as long as we don't know how it got to our tables.
Sounds horrible. Is it possible we can talk about something else?
You'd probably like it if you didn't know what was in it.
I said earlier that I had a memory of the Texas Chain Saw Massacre being gritty. Gritty doesn't even begin to explain the feeling of this movie. It points a camera at every cruel, disgusting, and vile thing that crawls around in the usually unseen parts of the world. It makes it feel as though the entire evil of the universe is pushing in on you from all sides at all times. The world of the Texas Chain Saw Massacre is an unrelenting, mean-spirited, and brutal place. But nearly all of the violence is implied. Very rarely is anything shown other than bones, and yet it's impossible not to feel the repulsion of what's happening. The film accomplishes this in more than a few different ways. The first being that it plants a question that lingers for the entire film and even after. Did this actually happen?
Okay, I'll go in.
Setting this up as a real crime immediately makes what we're watching all the more horrifying. The opening shot then perfectly conveys the intense, sticky Texas heat and simultaneously tells us about the savage world we find ourselves in. The shot lingers for what seems like forever, forcing us to sit with the gross, uncomfortable feeling. Apart from the image itself though, a radio newscast also plays, explaining that there have been multiple graves robbed.
In some cases, the extremities removed, the remainder of the corpse left intact. Evidence indicates the robberies have occurred over a period of time.
We hear more and more terrible news. Burning fuel reserves, explosions that killed workers, a cholera epidemic, suicides, a collapsed building that killed dozens of people. On and on and on. It's letting us know that it isn't just the area we're in that's dangerous. The radio plays an important role in the oppressive nature of this film, because it continuously builds an image of a devastating world. But even more than that still, we're living in a devastating universe. Every horoscope that's read by Pam is one of misfortune. The first being a literal reading that the planets themselves are malefic, capable of causing harm or destruction.
Hence, when malefic planets are in retrograde and Saturn's malefic, okay, their malefice is increased.
Franklin's horoscope is about upsetting persons around him, making it a disturbing and unpredictable day. Even Sally's horoscope is one of horror.
There are moments when we cannot believe that what is happening is really true. Pinch yourself and you may find out that it is.
There is no escape from evil when the universe itself is evil. Even in the short periods of time we see our group of friends having fun, there's still lingering tragedy underpinning it. When Sally is reminiscing about staying in the room, she associates it with her grandmother's death.
Right after my grandmother died.
What happened?
When she talks about the wallpaper she loved, we see it ripped and worn, showing the decaying effects of time on everything. When we hear the group laughing the hardest, it's from Franklin's perspective, showing that even when we're having a good time, somewhere in the world, someone is fighting through hardship. And when Kirk and Pam go to the swimming hole, they find it dried up. It's almost impossible not to feel the dread of this movie when there's a constant underlying theme of hardship, death, and decay. And what I've talked about up to this point isn't even taking into account the actual horror of this movie. When things really do start to ramp up, it becomes a deranged nightmare. Franklin and Sally run into Leatherface with half an hour left in the movie, and from that moment on, the chaos is absolutely unrelenting. The chase scene goes on for 6 minutes, and the entire time all we hear is screaming and metallic dissonant sounds with the chainsaw loudly buzzing in the background. Sally is exhausted by the end of it, and so are we as the audience. So much so that the sudden quiet of the grimy gas station feels like paradise. But the respite ends almost instantly, because Sally starts noticing the sizzling of the questionable barbecue. And the radio is once again there to remind us of the horrors all around us.
Sheriff's deputies have found a reported dozen coffins robbed of all or part of their contents.
Then, of course, we're treated to dinner, the culmination of all the chaotic energy this film has to give. There are a lot of things that make it so unsettling. Screaming, loud deranged yelling, cruel laughter and mocking, disgusting and dark setting, unpleasant visuals. But the one thing that truly makes it hard to watch for me is Sally, and specifically the way they chose to shoot Sally. There's an idea in filmmaking that the tighter a shot is on a person, the more intimate we, the audience, are with that person. Not only is Marilyn Burns, who plays Sally, selling absolute and total fear, but the camera is making us feel every ounce of that fear. The camera suddenly zooms into an extreme close-up of her face. She moves chaotically as we get glimpses of her wide, terrified eyes. Then further in as they stare and bulge in disbelief. Then even further in to see the blood vessels snake across the whites of her eyes. We could not be more intimate with Sally's fear in this moment. Keep everything else about this scene the same, but take away these shots and it isn't nearly as effective. Everything about this scene combined creates one of the most intense and terrifying scenes in horror history. And it does it all without a single ounce of gore, which is the mark of thoughtful filmmaking. The scene is so oppressive that when Sally finally gets away and we see daylight, there's an almost tangible feeling of relief. But the relentless chaos doesn't end there. We're assaulted with more growing tension as Sally struggles to run. The brothers gain on her and the sound of the chainsaw slowly builds. More chaos and more noise from trucks and screams. The chainsaw becomes the dominant sound, overtaking everything. Sally struggles into the back of a pickup truck and it drives off. Sally laughs with insane glee, and Leatherface rages in the rising sun, evoking the same hot Texas summer as the opening shot, but this time with feelings of relief instead of dread. It cuts to black. The chaos is finally over, and we can finally breathe again. The Texas Chain Saw Massacre is an anxiety-inducing film. It's relentless in its portrayal of the brutality of the world. From its insane characters to its relentless depiction of a cruel universe, it's as cynical as it gets. But in the end, for better or worse, Sally survives. Perhaps showing that even within all of the chaos of the world, there's still hope. Thank you for watching, and if you like this video, please consider liking and subscribing for more.